Have you ever reached that moment when you realize you can't depend on anyone, not even your family? It's one of the hardest realities we face as we age. That emotional and practical support we once expected from our loved ones begins to shift, shrink, or even vanish completely. Kids get busy. Siblings face their own health struggles. Friends move away, get sick, or pass on. And suddenly, you find yourself asking, who's really there for me? That question can hit like a brick wall if you're not ready for it. But here's the good news. You can be ready. In fact, you can build a life at 70 or beyond where you feel strong, grounded, and unshakable, no matter who stays or leaves. This video isn't about bitterness. It's about wisdom, because the truest support, the kind you can rely on in the middle of the night or during a lonely afternoon, often doesn't come from family. It comes from 5 different sources that most people overlook until it's too late. These 5 things are the real backbone of a peaceful, independent life in your 70s and beyond. They're the quiet, powerful forms of support that don't let you down, don't walk away, and don't make you feel like a burden. Stick with me because what I'm about to share might change the way you think about aging and how powerful you really are. If you're enjoying this content so far, I invite you to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos that could transform your perspective on this stage of life. Now let's dive in. Number 1, physical mobility. At 70, the ability to move freely, independently, and without constant assistance isn't just about walking. It's about freedom. It's about dignity. And in many ways, it's the most important support you can have without relying on anyone else. Physical mobility means you can get out of bed without help. It means you can make yourself a hot meal, reach up to the cupboard for the good plates, or step out the front door and breathe the morning air without waiting for someone to assist you. That's power. That's control over your life. And most importantly, it's a kind of emotional support no one talks about because it gives you confidence and reduces fear. When you can move your body, you worry less about being a burden. Let's be honest. Staying mobile after 70 doesn't mean running marathons or doing cartwheels. It means protecting your joints, keeping your balance, and keeping your muscles strong enough to trust your own legs. Small habits like stretching every morning, walking for 15 minutes a day, or using light resistance bands can make all the difference. And it's never too late to start. Many people think mobility decline is inevitable. It's not. In fact, the more you move, the harder your body fights to keep moving. Your body listens more to your actions than to your age. Psychologically, physical mobility helps fight a deep fear most older adults carry. The fear of helplessness. When your body becomes dependent, your mind starts to shrink too. You start doubting yourself, stop planning outings, avoid trips, decline invitations. Not because you're uninterested, but because you're afraid you can't handle it. That's not aging. That's shrinking. And you don't have to live that way. I met Harold, a 78-year-old man in a Florida park. He walks laps every morning with a cane, rain or shine. I once asked him why he's so committed, and he said, "Because the moment I stop walking is the moment I start waiting for someone to help me. And I don't want to wait. I want to live." His mobility isn't perfect, but it's his and it gives him peace. He still drives to the grocery store, still visits friends on Sundays, and still climbs the 3 steps to his porch with pride. Not because someone built him a ramp, but because he refused to stop moving. The reality is, when you invest in your body, even just a little, it pays you back with a level of freedom most people don't appreciate until it's gone. Family might not always be there to drive you to doctor's appointments or help you up from a fall. But if your legs are strong, your core is stable, and your balance is solid, you can delay those needs. You can hold on to your independence longer than most expect. And that's the kind of support that gives you confidence, not just physically, but emotionally. So, if you're feeling stiff or weak these days, it's okay. Don't judge yourself, but start where you are. Move a little more today than you did yesterday. Stretch while you wait for your coffee to brew. Take an extra lap around the hallway. Because every small effort builds something big, your own reliable foundation. A foundation that walks with you every step of the way, no matter who else shows up. Number 2, financial simplicity. When you hit 70, peace of mind doesn't come from how much money you have in the bank. It comes from knowing what you need, what you can handle, and how to live within your means without fear or shame. Financial simplicity is one of the strongest supports you can rely on, and it's one of the few you can control completely without needing anyone else. See, complicated finances become emotional baggage. Juggling multiple accounts, trying to track every subscription, or feeling overwhelmed by credit card bills isn't just stressful. It eats away at your sense of stability. And when you're older, stability isn't just about comfort. It's about survival. Because no matter how much your family loves you, they can't erase financial chaos. But a clear, simple plan can carry you through the toughest moments, like a sturdy cane for your soul. And here's what most people don't get. Simplifying your money doesn't mean giving up control, it means gaining it. A modest lifestyle that fits you, not someone else's expectations. The freedom to buy what you need without questioning every penny. It's like cleaning a cluttered closet. Once things are in order, your brain can rest. Psychologically, financial simplicity eliminates one of the biggest sources of anxiety in later life: uncertainty. Many older adults lie awake at night wondering, will I outlive my savings? What if I can't afford a caregiver someday? And those questions haunt them more than physical pain. But when you know where your money's going, when your spending is intentional, and your needs are covered without stretching yourself thin, you sleep better. You walk taller. You feel more stable. Let me share something about my neighbor Lorraine, a 74-year-old widow who used to work as a librarian. After her husband passed, she sat down with a financial advisor and decided to downsize. Smaller house, fewer bills, one credit card, and no more subscriptions she didn't use. She told me, I used to be scared to check the mail. Now I open every envelope with a clear head and a calm heart. She even started a little savings jar labeled Freedom Fund. Just $10 here and there. But it reminds her she's in charge of her money, not the other way around. What Lorraine did wasn't magic, it was a choice. A quiet, deliberate decision to simplify her financial life so she could focus on living, not just surviving. And here's the most powerful part. When your finances are simple, you need fewer people to manage them. You don't have to call your kid every time you have a billing question. You don't have to wait for a relative to explain the fine print. You can handle it. You're the captain. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by your money right now, take a deep breath. You're not alone, and you don't need to be rich, you just need to be clear. Cancel what you don't use. Consolidate what you can. Write down what comes in and what goes out. Make it so simple you could explain it to a friend over coffee. Because in the end, peace isn't in the numbers, it's in the knowing. Number 3, consistent health routine. At 70 and beyond, your strongest support isn't your kids, your neighbors, or even your doctor. It's your daily health routine. I'm not talking about trendy workouts or expensive supplements. I mean the small, steady actions you repeat every day to keep your body and mind running smoothly. This is the kind of self-reliance that builds real independence. Because when your body feels stable, so does your spirit. See, a lot of people wait until something goes wrong before they start paying attention to their health. But that's like fixing a leaky roof during a storm. It's reactive, and it keeps you in crisis mode. A consistent routine flips that, puts you in charge. When you walk every morning, drink your water, stretch your legs, take your meds on time, and eat what nourishes you, not just what fills you, you're creating a rhythm of self-respect. And that rhythm carries you through days when motivation is low and your body feels heavy. There's a hidden power in routine, especially in later years. Psychologically, routines reduce anxiety because they eliminate decision fatigue. You don't have to ask yourself, should I do this today? You just do it. That predictability creates stability, which leads to confidence. And confidence is what keeps you from feeling like a burden to others. It lets you say, I'm still capable, I'm still moving, and I'm still taking care of myself. Let me tell you about Frank, an 81-year-old former electrician I know. Every morning at 6 a.m., he makes a cup of green tea, does 15 minutes of simple stretching, takes his morning meds, and walks 30 minutes around the block, rain or shine. He once told me, it's not about exercise. It's about telling myself every morning that I still matter. That hit me hard because Frank's routine isn't about fitness. It's about identity. It's about staying connected to the part of himself that refuses to give up just because the years are piling on. And here's something you might not realize. When you have a routine, you actually need less help, not more. You're less likely to forget your pills, less likely to fall, less likely to feel lost in the day. It's like building a sturdy path through a foggy forest. Even when things feel unclear, your feet know where to go because they've walked it every day. That's real support. And it doesn't depend on anyone but you. Of course, some days are harder than others. Your joints ache, your energy dips, or the weather keeps you inside. That's okay. A routine can be flexible. What matters isn't perfection. It's consistency. A short walk around the house, a few deep breaths by the window, drinking a full glass of water before bed. These aren't big tasks, but together they become a net that catches you, holds you, and keeps you moving forward with grace. So if you're feeling stuck or you've let your routine slip lately, start small. One habit, one action, because every time you show up for yourself, you're proving you're your own best caretaker. And that's the kind of support no one can take away. Number 4, emotional resilience. If there's one form of support that becomes more valuable with age, it's emotional resilience, not money, not even health. Because when your emotions are strong, you can weather almost anything. Loneliness, grief, setbacks, and yes, even the disappointments that sometimes come from family. Emotional resilience is what lets you sit in silence without feeling empty and face hardships without feeling broken. At 70, life has probably already thrown you a handful of losses. Maybe more. A spouse passing, kids moving away, health declining. And the mistake many people make is thinking emotional strength means never feeling sad. That's not it. Emotional resilience is about feeling deeply but not drowning in it. It's about letting sadness pass through you, not take root in you. This kind of strength doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from telling yourself, this hurts, but I can handle it. And the truth is, every time you do that, every time you sit with the pain without running from it, you become less afraid of what comes next. That's powerful. That's liberating. You're not leaning on others to carry your sadness. You're learning how to hold it without it breaking you. Let me share a story. There's a woman named Ellen, 77, who lost her husband 5 years ago and now lives alone. I once asked her, what helps you get through the hard days? She said, I light a candle every night. Not because I'm religious, but because it reminds me I'm still here. I cry some nights, I laugh others, but I always tell myself, you made it through today. That small ritual is her way of honoring her pain without letting it swallow her. That's resilience. See, emotional resilience isn't just about surviving the big tragedies. It's about handling the small disappointments too. When your kid doesn't call, when a friend moves away, when you realize you can't do what you used to. If you crumble every time something shifts, life becomes too painful to enjoy. But when you have emotional strength, you gain freedom. You're not at the mercy of other people's choices or the world's changes. You're stable because you choose how to respond. Psychologically, emotional resilience rewires your brain. It helps your thoughts slow down, teaches your nervous system not to overreact. It builds confidence that you can face uncertainty and still be okay. And in later life, when so much is uncertain, that's one of the most valuable gifts you can give yourself. Now, if you're wondering how to build emotional resilience, start with awareness. Talk to yourself kindly. Let your feelings be real, but don't let them run wild. Find small routines of calm, like journaling, walking in nature, or just playing music you love. And remind yourself often, you've survived every hard thing so far. That's not luck, that's strength. So yes, family may fade, health may falter, But if your emotional core is strong, you'll still stand tall with clear eyes, a steady heart, and rooted in the quiet knowledge that you are enough, completely on your own. Number 5, a personal code of values. There's something deeply powerful about having your own set of values, especially after 70. When the world around you shifts, when people let you down, when the future feels uncertain, your personal code becomes your compass. It tells you who you are, what matters, and how you want to live, no matter what anyone else does. Too many older adults lose their sense of direction because they've spent a lifetime living by other people's expectations. They were the good parent, the loyal worker, the supportive spouse. But once those roles fade, they're left wondering, now what? That's where a personal code comes in. It says, this is who I am, and this is how I live, no matter who's watching. A strong personal code might include things like honesty, kindness, responsibility, simplicity, or self-respect. These aren't flashy. They're not impressive to anyone but you. And that's the point. When you live by your own values, you stop needing approval. You stop chasing validation. You stop getting rattled when someone disagrees with you, because your peace doesn't depend on them. Let me tell you about Howard, a man I knew in his early 80s. He once said, I have 5 rules. I tell the truth. I don't waste food. I always return what I borrow. I forgive quickly. And I sleep with a clear conscience. That's it. And every day, Howard lives by that. He's not rich, doesn't have a big family, but he walks with a kind of quiet dignity that's rare. Why? Because he knows who he is. His code anchors him. Psychologically, having a personal code reduces regret. It makes decisions simpler. You don't lie awake wondering, did I do the right thing? Because you already know what's right for you. It also builds this internal steadiness. When life throws you a curveball, and it will, you're less likely to panic. You'll think, what do my values say about this? And that becomes your guide. In fact, studies in geriatric psychology show that older adults who live by a consistent set of values report higher life satisfaction, lower anxiety, and better cognitive health. Why? Because clarity brings calm. When your life has a through line, a thread of integrity, you stay centered. But here's what's even more important. Your values are yours. No one else needs to agree with them. You don't have to explain them, you just have to live them. That's what makes them powerful. Whether it's waking up early to greet the sun, refusing to gossip, being generous even when you have little, or staying curious about the world. Whatever values speak to your soul, hold on to them. Let them carry you. Because when you can look in the mirror at 75 or 85 and say, I lived by what I believe, that's true success. That's true self-respect. And no one, not your kids, not society, not even time, can take that from you. That's the kind of support that never fades because it lives inside you. And in the end, that's what this journey is about. Not being remembered by everyone else, but being at peace with yourself. A personal code gives you that peace. It's not loud, it doesn't show off, but it holds you up quietly, faithfully, when everything else shifts. Final thoughts. As we age, we often find ourselves reflecting on who's really by our side when the lights are low and the days grow quiet. And it's not always who we thought. Family, friends, even our own bodies can become less reliable over time. But that doesn't mean we're left with nothing. In fact, the older we get, the more we realize that some of the strongest supports in our lives were never outside us at all. They were inside us, waiting for us to lean into them. Maybe it's the quiet strength of daily routines, the comforting rhythm that tells your mind and body you're safe, you're grounded. Or maybe it's the joy of small activities, things that make the hours feel meaningful even when no one else is around. These aren't just hobbies. They're lifelines to our own identity and purpose. Then there's physical self-care. Something as simple as keeping your legs strong and your meals balanced can make the difference between independence and dependence. It's a truth we don't always want to hear, but it's the one that gives us the most control over how we age. Taking care of yourself isn't vanity, it's wisdom. We also talked about keeping a sharp mind, staying curious, staying engaged, staying alive in the world of ideas and change. When your brain keeps growing, so does your sense of relevance and resilience. You don't fade, you adapt, you evolve, you surprise even yourself. And maybe the most quietly powerful of all, we explored having a personal code, a set of values that define who you are, no matter who comes or goes from your life. That's your compass. That's your armor. That's what lets you age with dignity and die in peace. So what does this all mean? It means the most reliable support system after 70 might not be a person but a mindset, a way of living rooted in habits, beliefs, and practices that keep you steady no matter what the world does. It's about becoming your own foundation, because when you can stand strong alone, you never really feel alone. That kind of inner strength isn't just comforting, it's liberating. Now here's a gentle challenge for you. Take a moment, maybe after this video ends, and ask yourself, which of these supports do I already have in place, and which do I want to build starting today? Don't be afraid to start small. Big changes begin with a quiet decision made in the privacy of your own heart. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts matter to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep creating good content to inform and inspire you.